Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We come to you on this Saturday evening after the Mets evened up this year's version of the Subway Series, round one, with I thought, important victory. Won a pretty game in a lot of ways. Both teams had some opportunities. Both teams got a little sloppy at times, but I thought, considering last night and considering the Met loss, considering the fact that the Mets were going with a bullpen game today, the fact that the Holmes news was so devastating. Mendoza even talked about how hard it hit the clubhouse last night. Because let's be honest, I mean, if they're thinking of a comeback, making a comeback without the guy who's been their best pitcher, who's going to be out now till the middle of August at the earliest. I mean, it's a devastating blow. There's no question. That's an irreplaceable move for them right now. They can say what they want, but you know that's going to be a hard fill. And you realize that they're not close to getting other guys back. They're going to have to do this, but they bounced back and won a game that you could see get away from them from a standpoint of the Yankees being a team that can be tough to play bullpen games against because you keep changing pitches. First of all, you need Peterson to be good. You know he's going to have to do bulk work. Uh, Number two, uh, you're going to be in the bullpen. You're going to, if you hit on one guy who doesn't do his job, all of a sudden the Yankees can put a 5 spot up on anybody with their power. Um, so getting a victory in that regard was a big positive. I thought it was a much more important game for the Mets than it was. Now we got a rubber match tomorrow. It's no blood to me. My theory has always been on these series that unless somebody sweeps, it's not a big deal. I mean, you don't gain any real bragging rights unless somebody sweeps. Um, the Mets obviously would love to win 2 out of 3. It would be more of a boost for them than it is for the Yankees right now. Um, the Yankees have to look at this as a game where they didn't hit with runners in scoring position. They didn't execute. Uh, Rendon was good in some regards because he obviously was striking people out. He had a good fastball. The ball was popping out of his hand, but he obviously lost command. And then when you give up 2 runs on one play like that, it's just awful. And then I thought 2 big hits singularly. The 2-out Baty double was a big hit because it's a nothing inning and then a walk and then a double's a run, and then the Vientos hit, and that to me is the biggest hit of the game, and it's important from a lot of standpoints. The Mets they've done a lot of things wrong this year, but they've done this right. They've inserted Vientos in the lineup every day. They've told him not to worry about whether he's going to play or not, whether he's going to get his at bats or not, and that's the way to utilize him. If you've noticed, okay, his numbers aren't great, but they're not terrible. And he has hit in hard luck. He has hit more balls that could have been he's hit 4 or 5 balls that could have been home runs in the right situations, the right weather, the right everything else. He's been robbed a bunch of times. He's hit the ball hard. Tonight he gets 3 RBIs. He gets 2 big RBIs on that double. If he can just go now, we all know he's not a great first baseman. I understand that. He's very much a work in progress. But if you can just leave him in the lineup, in the middle of the lineup, and he knows he's there every day, I think he will produce. And they don't have anybody to counter with him. They don't have anybody to replace him with. They need his power. They need his RBI bat. That's all there is to it. I mean, he's got 22 RBIs and he's hitting tough luck. Just leave him alone and let him be the guy. Now, listen, Vichette's got to hit. There's no other word for this. He's got to hit, and he just doesn't look like he can get the job done right now. A guy who has killed fastballs his whole life seems so overmatched right now on the fastball. It's very puzzling. I understand guys have come here and had rough transitions to justify the salary and to come to the big city and the whole deal. We could name star after star after star. We could do it for a half hour, and he's another one. But they need him because if they can get Ben's doing what he's doing right now, and Soto and Vientos, and then plug Bichette in the two hole, all of a sudden they have a lineup. So I thought the Beatty hit followed by the 2 runs are a gift. The 3rd run's important. The 4th and 5th runs are huge. And then obviously you get to the inning and it looks like the Yankees are going to blow the game open and Weaver comes in and is great. I mean, not only does Weaver come in and get out of the inning, and I'll tell you, he did throw a pitch to Rosario that Rosario could have crushed. He didn't. So give Weaver credit. Weaver came in and threw nothing but strikes. And you know Weaver when he's on. You know Weaver when he's on, you know Weaver when he's off. When he's on, he can be dynamic. And not only does he come in and get the 7th inning, but he comes back and gets the 8th inning, throws 19 pitches, 17 strikes. And then they get out of the 9th inning. I'm not a Williams fan. I don't think I ever will be. I don't care how many times he comes out and has a good performance. He leaves me cold. He did with the Yankees. He does with the Mets. Okay, but tonight they get those big innings on the back in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. They get the dynamic performance, the game-saving performance from Weaver. You can bring up that the Yankees didn't do anything in the clutch. They didn't do anything with the runners in scoring position. We know that. All right, it happens. All right, you're gonna have nights like that. That's all there is to it. Um, give the Mets credit. Give the Met pitchers credit for executing the way they did, and it turns around and becomes a big, big 6-3 victory for them. A lot of things to point to from a Yankee standpoint. A lot of things to say, "Oh, the Yankees did this wrong, they did this wrong, they did this wrong." You look at things in that lineup and you're puzzled by a couple of them. I mean, they got some guys who haven't started hitting yet. Hey, every team has that. Every team has guys that have gotten off the slow starts. Everybody's got guys who are having problems, okay? And the Yankees got more guys doing well than most teams do. And they got some guys having huge years. So I wouldn't worry about that from that standpoint. It's just a night where there were a lot of opportunities. They didn't take advantage of them. Rondon threw better than his numbers indicate, except that you can't go out there and walk that many people. You just can't. You know, you can't go out there and lose the plate. You can't go out there and lose command. You can't go out there and make dumb plays. He's got to eat that ball. He doesn't. It turns into a 2-run nightmare. I mean, that's a 2-run nightmare. Let's be honest. That's a 2-run gift for the Mets, and the Mets turned it into opportunities. Got a couple of big hits when they had to, and went on to a victory. Thanks. Let's be honest. From the Mets standpoint, they got a good job from everybody. They got a good job from the guys starting the game in what was a bullpen game. They got a good job from the guys on the back, led by Weaver and Williams. They got some clutch hits. They made some mistakes. We know that. They picked up the guys who made the mistakes. That's all. They need to get better performance out of their big guys, especially something's got to pop with Bichette. It just has to. They need him in the worst way. Hopefully that'll happen. But they get a win after what was let's be honest, a crushing night. You know, to lose that game and then get the news they got. And we weren't expecting it because Holmes didn't come right out of the game. If he had come right out of the game, he would have said, "Wow, maybe he's hurt. Maybe he chipped a bone. Maybe he didn't. He went back. He stayed in the game. I guess he was in pain. Sounds like when you hear in retrospect, he was in pain. He toughed it out. He wanted to compete, and you find out the worst news that you can possibly get. But the Mets come back tonight and get round two. Tomorrow is going to be a beautiful day. So enjoy it. They're not playing again for a while. Uh, if the Mets could get a win, I look at it much more from the Mets standpoint because I think the Yankees are fine. I'm not worried about them, even though they had a rough week. I'm not worried about them. Uh, the Mets could use the boost. We'll see if they can get it, um, and get 2 out of 3, which could at least get them feeling good about the week they had. Beat the Tigers 3 straight, beat the Yankees 2 out of 3. That at least gives them a step in the right direction to go forward despite the bad news about Holmes as they try to see if they can just put a series win in front of us. If you're the Mets, all you can do is go out there and try and win series and try and put a series win on top of a series win on top of a series win. Don't have any long losing streaks and see if you can, you know, have a 7 or 8 month performance to the positive, and a couple of those tack them on, and next thing you know, you're back over 500, and you can start to think about the second half of the season. That's basically the only thing you can do. Let the kids perform. Keep your eyes on the kids that maybe can come up and help in terms of pitching and offense, and wait for the one move. They still need a bat. They still need a veteran RBI bat in this lineup. I think Vientos can give them a good year. I want them to give him a chance, and I think it's really important, which Mendoza addressed tonight, to let him believe that he is going to be in there day after day where he's not looking at one at bat as I better put this ball over the wall or I'm not playing tomorrow. I better hit the ball up the gap here and knock in 2 runs or I'm not playing tomorrow. Don't make him perform under that kind of scrutiny, under that kind of pressure. Let him understand that he has a job, that you believe in him and he has a job. And I think you'll get the best you can get out of him. Is he a flawed player? Yes, he's a DH. He's a hard-hitting DH. He's a guy who has a 30 home run bat. There's no question about it. He's got a lot of power. Ball jumps off his bat. Does he look bad sometimes? Yes. A lot of sluggers do. He's a slugger. This guy's a slugger. That's what he is. This is not a guy who's going to win a batting title. This is a slugger. This is a guy who can put up 30 and 100 if he's doing his job and can knock in a lot of runs. And that's what you're looking for. And that's what you're hoping for on a night where the Mets have to be happy with the jobs the guys did as far as the pitching department goes. Right from the get-go, they got a good performance right out of the start. You have to be positive with that. I thought Peterson, hey, he's going to have some walks. He's going to have some moments, but I thought that's a four productive innings. He goes out there, he does the job. They got a good job all the way out of the bullpen, and they got a great job out of Weaver, and a finishing job out of Williams, and they move on and get a victory. So from that standpoint, a very good night, an important night, one that got them, because if they had lost tonight, and they're thinking about getting swept tomorrow, and the Yankees are coming in fast and loose, and you never know, and it's a hot day. And all of a sudden, the Yankees start launching balls all over the ballpark, which they're always capable of doing. That's not a good situation. Now the Mets got their win. Now it's a rubber match series. There's no pressure on either team. Whoever play the rubber match to the best of your ability, and whoever wins it, tip your hat and move on. That's what the series is. No blood. I will never have thought there's any blood. In the old days, it used to be big. When the Mets were really in a bad place compared to the Yankees, and the Yankees were, immense. If the Mets won a series, especially at Yankee Stadium, that was a big deal. All right. If they won 2 out of 3, it was a big deal. If they got to Mariano, it was a big deal. All right. There were moments because the Yankees were overpowering at times. Okay. So there were times where the Mets could do something, and it was significant. They've had a lot of success against the Yankees in recent years. It's not any big deal. Right now, the way this year has gone, it was important for them to compete this weekend. The Tigers made it a little easier because the Tigers came in reeling and the Mets took advantage of it. And now the Mets have evened the series at 1, which was very, very important after last night, because last night was a double whammy. It was not only a loss, it was some more devastating news on top of bad news, on top of bad news, on top of bad news, and you just didn't need it. So they overcame that. Couple things. Preakness, I'm not surprised at the winner. I'm surprised my long shot didn't run better. I apologize for that. He didn't. Um, I thought there was a chance that the 10 horse was. I told you there were two speeds, the 10 and the one. I thought the 10 could run big. The two closers finished fourth and fifth, fifth and sixth. Not a big deal. Um, wasn't much in the race. The horse that had the best back class in the race won the race. I thought Johnny put my long shot in good position. He was completely empty when he asked him to run, so he had nothing. He didn't like coming off the pace way. He brought him off the pace way I thought he would. I thought he could handle that. I thought he would train for that. He looked very good training. So did the winner. Looked very good training all week, and you knew he was legit speed. Uh, I used him in the exact same thing, but I used everything with the 11, and the 11 didn't fire at all. So hey, now the big horses will be back for the Belmont. Um, hey, congratulations to the people, though, because when you win a major, if you win a Triple Crown race with a horse that you paid $40,000 for, kudos, kudos. I mean, that's a great achievement. It really is. So kudos to the connections. That's what racing's supposed to be about. When you can buy a horse for that kind of price and get him to win a Triple Crown race, even the Preakness, okay, at Laurel, I don't care. I understand it's not the Derby. I understand it's not the Belmont, but the bottom line is still it's a Triple Crown race, and that's a big deal. So congrats to them. As far as the final day of the uh, PGA goes, I mean, it is wide open. I mean, absolutely wide open. Smalley is, I'll give you the latest uh, Bet Rivers odds. And yes, they still put Scheffler in there because he has a habit for comebacks, and they don't want to be there and get destroyed if he makes one of his patented late runs. The last 2 days have been very tough on him. He's had a lot of trouble with the pin placements. He had a lot of trouble with the wind. He's shot one over each day. He's one under par. The leader is six because the leaders were all stocked up at four. And Smalley now jumped out to six at the end. But here's what you have right now. The favorite to win it is obviously Smalley, who has a two-stroke lead. He's 4.5 to 1. John Rahm is one of the guys at 4 under. He's 5.5 to 1. Oberg is right there at -4. He's 6 to 1. Rory is 3 under. He's 7 to 1. So you got big names there behind Smalley. You got Rahm, you got Oberg, you got Schauffele, you got McIlroy. And then at 1 under, you have Scheffler, who is 16 to 1, which sounds like a generous price. But remember, he's in 20. He's tied for 23rd place. The guys who are -1 are 20 in 23rd place. There are 22 golfers ahead of him. Now, he could have won 3 or 4 hole stretch and pass 90% of them. I understand that. Would I say he's out of it tomorrow? No, he's got to post a big score. He's got to post -8 tomorrow, -7. He's more under. He'd have to shoot a big round, a 6 under or 7 under rounds to have a chance to win. I mean, let's be realistic. You got Rahm, you got McIlroy, you got Schauffele, you got Oberg, you got a lot of big time golfers there. And I don't know if Smalley will hold on. It will not be easy for him to do that. But there's a lot of good golf there on the last day. The wind has been tricky. Today it picked up at the wrong time for certain guys. Such is the luck of the draw. You know, in any sport, wind is a great equalizer. If you ever talk to a football coach, he will tell you wind trumps rain every time. Okay. Wind is an incredible factor in any game, baseball, you name it. Anything that's not indoors is an incredibly big factor, and it has been this weekend. When you played, Also, the course was played a lot tougher, I think, than people thought it would. I think they thought earlier in the week that this was gonna be a course that they were gonna be able to bring to their knees with their drivers, which some guys have at times, but it has been a very tricky course, and it's been a course that has exacted a lot of penalties from guys at different times. So that's why the scores are the way they are. So that's where we are, and those are the latest, Bet Rivers odds as we get ready for a Sunday for the PGA. Anytime it's a major, I understand it's not the major. It's not the US Open on Father's Day at Shinnecock, which is gonna be incredibly dramatic. It's not the Masters. And for some of you, it's not even the British Open, although I'm not a big British Open guy for myself. But it's still a very, very dynamic tournament with a lot of good players. So take it from that standpoint. I understand it's the lesser of the 4 majors. I understand that. But still, it's good golf if you want to watch it tomorrow. And you got the Yankees and the Mets tomorrow afternoon. And then you can settle in as a Knicks fan and do your own scouting on game 7 between this insanely erratic, and I told you the other night, I said, do not be surprised despite Detroit's collapse in home in game 5, and that was an utter collapse. They were up 9 points with the ball, 2:39 left, and did not score again, and then lost in overtime to a Cleveland team that is not very mentally tough. It has talent. It's got guards who have had big time careers, but it is not a consistent or efficient or in any way a clutch team. I told you, do not. I felt the Pistons. I felt it was going to be a 1 point game or the Pistons were going to win. I did not think, I was not surprised in the least that Detroit won the game. I was surprised they won it going away the way they did. Now, game 7, I would not be the least bit surprised if Cleveland won game 7. I don't think home court means anything. Usually I do in a game 7. In this series, I do not. Cleveland is highly erratic. They can get red hot. They can have either Mitchell or Harden go off, as they both have at times during the series. They can get a big quarter out of Struss from 3. They can get a big quarter out of Mobley. They can even get a big quarter out of Allen. Detroit does not have enough scoring, and Cunningham is asked to do so much that it leads to an insane number of no team can tolerate the number of turnovers that Cleveland has that are unforced and that Cunningham has. Cunningham is a turnover machine. You cannot tolerate in big games the amount of turnovers that he has. They are unbelievable. This guy's averaging 5 and 6 turnovers a game. He's gonna break a record, I think, for 7 games for turnovers. Yes, he does everything. And they wanna run their offense through him every play, and if you orchestrate a well-timed double team on him, they're not gonna get a good shot. They might not even get a shot. Or they're gonna get a forced 3 or an off-balance shot, or that's why they have these incredible scoring lulls. Because they're always gonna wind up with the ball up top with 10 seconds on the 24, and Cunningham's gonna have the ball. You run a double team at him, he will throw it out of the double team, and then you don't know what's gonna happen with the ball. Someone's gonna hoist up a terrible shot. That's their offense. Now, when they can turn their defense, which is very good, into a turnover and into a fast break basket, so be it. They're good at that. They're a very good defensive team. They are a horrific offensive team with very few options. And if Tobias isn't scoring in the last couple of games, Tobias' scoring is taking a hit. They're really hurting. Durham came on in game 6, but now he's hurt. This is an absolute toss-up, and don't be surprised if the team that's winning in the fourth quarter loses. That's the way this series should finish because it has been bizarre. They come back and win game 5, Cleveland does, from 9 back with a 9-0 run to finish regulation in Detroit in a pivotal game 5, win it in overtime, go home and get their doors blown off by the Pistons in game 6. What a bizarre series. I'll be watching. On the other hand, Monday will begin what will be a classic series between Wemby's and Castles. Do not dismiss Castles' play. And San Antonio's play as a whole against the champs in OKC. I understand San Antonio had their number in the regular season. It means nothing to me. I know that both teams might not be at 100%. That's tough luck. The bottom line is I think OKC wins the series. Now, I expect because of San Antonio's ability, Wemby's ability, you would expect San Antonio's going to win a couple of games in this series. I do think they will. I do think the series will go 6 games. I think San Antonio will get beat in 6 games by OKC. I think 5 games is almost, I don't want to say insulting, so I'll go 6. I don't think it'll be 7. And I think the Knicks will have a big advantage over either team that they play because they're both exceedingly flawed. Obviously, they have home court against one, don't have home court against the other. Is that a big factor? I don't think it is. I think they beat either team. I think we're headed for a Knicks OKC final. I'm looking forward to it. I want OG to be healthy. The Knicks have breathed incredible optimism into the city and into the basketball world with their play, with their changes they made on offense, with their defense, with what Towns has done. Obviously, it's going to be a great couple of weeks here. And it's about to begin. I understand it's been a lull period. I understand you've had to wait a lot for another basketball game. I understand the Knicks just destroyed their opponent, and then they've had 10 days off. It happens. Now it's time for basketball again. Tomorrow night, Game 7. Monday night, Game 1, OKC San Antonio. Tuesday night, Knicks. Get ready for the fun. We'll see you later.